Hey everybody, Jay Glazer here with the Corcoran Group, bringing you another Facebook Live update. It is officially October. I have no idea where the hell the year went. I'm sure you're probably thinking the same things, but here we are, only around 100 days left in the year, and it's time to get to work. So, you know, it's the fall selling season. Everybody's always like, including myself, oh, fall is such a good time to sell. You know, it's kind of the later version of spring. I'm just going to tell you, there's one thing I really love about fall. It's not related to real estate at all. Pumpkin spice lattes. Yes, Starbucks pumpkin spice lattes. Those are really good. Just kidding. I don't like those at all. I really like them. Anyway, so back on track. What do we have? What do we need? What do we know? So what do we have? We have some great properties coming on market. Call me the Upper East Side King. We are listing a lot of properties on the Upper East Side. I'll start with one. We have a great 2-bedroom, 2-bath condominium on 78th Street and Madison Avenue with an obstructed view of Central Park. That means we have a partial view. It's a nice view. It's not one of those massive expanses, but it's a really nice view. It's a really good 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It is on 78th and Madison, super prime location. Call us, text us, email us, ping us, DM us, tweet me, Snapchat me, whatever you got to do to get in touch. But if you want details on that, we will happily send them to you. It's fully renovated and possibly furnished. So for you furnished seekers out there, hit us up. Anyway, that's what we have. What do we need? Well, if you're watching this, you know who you are. I will not name names, but we have a penthouse buyer in our ecosystem, our Glazer Team buyer ecosystem, who is ready to buy a penthouse apartment. So if you know of anybody who's considering selling their penthouse apartment in the $15 million range, please reach out. I know that sounds like a tall ask, and it is a tall ask, but we do have a buyer who's ready to buy. So if you have something in New York City, preferably on the Upper East Side, with a penthouse space, please reach out to us. Have, need, and what do we know? What we know is that the market is shifting. I know I sound like a broken record every time I say that, but the facts are the facts, and I'm feeling the squeeze more than I ever have in my 8-year career. Now, of course, I felt the squeeze when I got into this business a month after Lehman Brothers collapsed, but since that cycle, since that downturn, the market has consistently picked up, and now we're really seeing a squeeze. What does that mean? It means that really good properties, such as ones we have listed, are not moving at prices that we feel are really good value. So what does that mean for if you are a real seller? It means you really have to get ahead of the curve. You have to price for the shift. Gary Keller wrote a book called The Shift, which speaks all about that, really getting ahead of the market and accepting the fact that what the market was 6 months ago might not be today. So that brings us to the no topic, overpricing. I'm going to give you 3 quick tips to ensure that you are not overpricing your property, because right now in 2017, pushing in 2018, I think that overpricing is the kiss of death. So 3 quick tips. 1, check the comps. You got to trust the science, people. The data does not lie. Facts are facts. So the reality is, you know, if someone brings you a very compelling comp for your apartment, don't try to spin it and say, oh, well, mine is so much better because, you know, I have the Viking range and all they have is a GE profile. That somehow doesn't magically make your apartment worth $100,000 more than your neighbors. So let's be realistic. Check the comps. Tip number 2, WWTBD. That's not what would Tyler Burden do. Bad, terrible joke, I'm sorry. But that is, what would the buyer do? Listen, buyers are the ones buying your property. So ultimately you have to shop and think the way they think. So they're going to be looking at 2 things when they're buying your home: wow factor and value. Of course, if you do have a wow factor apartment, and again, you really have to have a heart-to-heart, you know, very direct conversation with your broker whether your apartment has wow factor. There are a lot of amazing apartments out there, but wow factor is that something extra. If you do have that apartment, then maybe you can go for a little bit more ambitious price. I won't call it overpricing, but more ambitious. And then value. Right now, value gets your home sold. So think like a buyer. If a buyer is not going to look at your home after seeing 25 other properties online and say, huh, this one is 10% more than everything else, let me just go meander over to the open house. No, we're busy. And if we're busy, we don't have time to go see overpriced homes. So think like the buyer. What would the buyer do? And last but not least, This requires a little bit more legwork, but totally worth it if you really are considering selling your home. Visit other properties. Now, I don't just mean go see comparable properties. If you can do that, that's great as well. But what I really mean is just go get a pulse of the market. Go see something that you see online and you're like, I know that's going to sell in a weekend. Go to that open house. If you're so sure it's going to sell in a weekend, that open house should have 50 plus people in it. 30 people, 50, 100, whatever it is, but it should be a busy open house. There should be a buzz. It's palpable. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And if that's the case, then maybe your instincts are good and you should track a couple more of these hot properties and find out what makes them hot. On the flip side, go see an open house for an apartment that's lingering. If something's been sitting 150 days on the market, go see if you can figure out why it's been lingering, because that's also key to understand, hey, is it lingering because it's overpriced? Or is it lingering because it's been marketed badly? Now, the answer could be either or. Odds are, in this day and age, it's probably overpriced. So you want to get a handle on what this term overpriced means. So those are my 3 quick tips. Sorry, not that quick. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your comments. Please drop in some comments other than, hey, Jay, although please feel free to continue to say, hey, Jay. I like those as well. And yeah, I'd love to chat with you about it. And I'll speak to you next week. Take care.